Earlier today, I was browsing through my Twitter mentions and I suddenly started getting spammed with tons upon tons of messages sending me to a Reddit post which showed the fact that you could actually use water as redstone lines in Minecraft 1.13. Now, the idea is really simple. Down at the bottom here, we have got ourselves a magma block. Here we have a water tube, and up at the top, we've got an observer with a redstone lamp. Now, if we power this little piston down at the bottom here, you can see that we get ourselves a redstone output. Now, when it turns into a bubble column, it's actually quite slow. In fact, there's 1 second of delay, but when we remove this redstone block, it's instant, no matter how tall your water column is. Now, that's very exciting. In fact, my mind is kind of flying through a ton of different ideas here, and I don't know what to build first. Weirdly, the first thing that my head went to was a tree farm. And, I mean, this sort of works. You can see that it's fast on one side, but then on the other side it's not so fast. So here we have a dispenser down the bottom here that's removing our water source, and that actually makes the system react faster than if you move something like a magma block or a soul sand block. But as you can see, it's instant on this one, really quick, but we get a 5 tick delay when we're replacing the water source block, which means that all in all it's a tiny bit on the slow side 50% of the time. AKA not useful at all. Now, I wonder if we can make a redstone circuit that allows us to have an always instant water line. Now, the idea that I've actually just come up with is to have almost like a 2 wide water stream, and then have, so if we put a water bucket on the inside of one of these and a non-water bucket on the inside of the other one, just an empty bucket with a water source out the front, then that means that every single time you power one of these dispensers with, say, for example, a button, if we had a button out the back of here, then the water sources would switch over, which means that we'll be able to switch over our water lines. Give me a second. So when we hit this button, that piston should extend and retract instantly. That's good. And then when we hit this button, the piston on the right should extend and retract instantly. That's good. Okay. Now what we have to do is deal with the secondary pulses which come through the pistons. This actually could be quite smart. And smart, I think it is. If we hit this button, you can see that our new decoder circuit is now working well. So every single time we hit this button, it only ever gives the redstone output right at the very start of the button press. We don't get 2 redstone pulses, and the way that I've done it is just using this tiny little system right up at the top here. So you can see that we've got observers which are detecting updates in the water. They're sending pulses through into these pistons, which when we hit the button, you can see they spit out their blocks, stopping that secondary pulse traveling through the blocks and into the redstone line. But then when we do get the secondary pulse, those blocks get retracted so that it resets, ready to receive another redstone pulse when we next hit the button. I hope that made sense. It probably didn't, but as you can see, it's very simple to build. And to top it all off, it turns out I was massively overcomplicated things. All we need to do is place in 2 sticky pistons facing upwards with blocks on top, and well, yeah, you've got yourself a working circuit. I mean, it couldn't be much easier than that. So I've been doing a little bit more experimenting, and I've come up with this system right here. Now, for anyone who's familiar with my mob farm in Hermitcraft Season 5, it kind of worked a little bit like this. So we had some dispensers in the center, which dispense out water, and they push all of the mobs off of the platforms and off the edges. And it involved some frustrating redstone going down through the center, and it always used to break itself, to be quite frankly honest. So hopefully this would fix it, because it's doing it all instantly, all in exactly the same tick. Everything happens, so nothing should get out of sync. And as you can see, it is just crazy simple, and really quite, you know, when something's elegant in the way that it works, this is elegant in the way that it works. We're just detecting the updates of the water, and then those updates are being pushed down into these dispensers, and they are, well, they're retracting and dispensing their water. How cool is that? Oh man, I can't wait to use this inside redstone circuits. This next redstone circuit is hopefully going to fix the main problem that I have with all of these soul sand and magma elevators that we've been creating, and that is the fact that there really was no way to create kind of like a top for them. You know, with piston elevators, you would make piston doors up at the top that would open up as you arrive so that you could leave and then they'd close behind you. It would just be a nice little feature to have. We couldn't really do that with the soul sand and magma elevators without running up redstone lines and things. But hopefully, if we can detect when the water changes and then just add in a little bit of delay. Well, we don't even need to add in a little bit of delay. We can just... yeah, that's one issue with working with water. As I was saying, we can just extend and retract a block. Now let's see if this actually functions how I want it to. So that block has not been... Okay, that didn't quite work how I expected it to. So if I power this down at the bottom here, how many pulses are we getting through the circuit? Oh, okay, so you get the 1. That makes life really tricky. But hopefully, this should provide us with the fix. So there it is open, and then when we swap back across, there it is closing up. And once again, we're just making use of pistons underneath blocks, kind of causing T flip-flops. So if we give this a go, soul sand, we shoot up to the top, and then the block closes up behind us. I like that. And now I like it even more because it's looking a lot more official. If we hit this button, you can see that our slab retracts, allowing us to drop down into the elevator, which will prevent us from accidentally falling in, because I've done that a handful of times with my version of this elevator. And then if we walk on this pressure plate, obviously the soul sand travels across, the slab's moved out of the way, we can pop up to the surface, and then everything gets pushed in behind us. So it's all looking nice and flush. This is pretty cool, and it's all done using water-based redstone. That is... I never thought I'd be saying those words. Once again, this feels like an April Fool's joke. I'm curious about something. No. So that doesn't cause any form of update. Wait, let me just check. I want to make sure that I'm not going crazy here. So if we... No, so that's not sending, it's only sending signals upwards. It's good to know these things. So, going back to our original tree farm concept, I wonder if we were to just run in a redstone circuit a little bit like this. So that will pulse this dispenser twice really quickly. You know what, I think we can get away with 2 ticks there. I'm not 100% certain though. So if we pulse this real quick. Was that too fast? Wait, how come this isn't bubble water anymore? Is that because of these? Why are these not bubbles anymore? That was strange. Even though that dispenser double pulsed, it didn't actually pick up its own water. It was, yeah. Anyway, a little bit strange. I think I fixed it. And now if we place in the block here. This system is actually functioning, and it is quite fast. I just don't know how reliable it would be. You know, there's only one way to find out. Actually try it out with a tree. Okay, I think it's safe to say that I didn't really think this through. I've built most of the farm out of wool because I wasn't actually planning on using it as a tree farm, which means that, yeah, things are a little bit slow. But, I mean, it does function. I just don't know how robust this little circuit here would actually be. Okay, I've just come up with an idea that I think is really, really silly, but also has the potential... Oh... No, I've just come up with an even cooler idea, which once again has the potential to be really, really cool. Seriously, seriously cool. In fact, it's so cool that I'm leaving this world and I'm generating myself a new world. In fact, you know what? I'm not even going to generate myself a new world. I'm going to pop into the Hermitcraft testing world and we're going to go down into the ocean, because if this works, which it is going to work, there's no reason why it wouldn't work, it's going to be fantastic. Now this is obviously a very crude example right here, but the idea is that we throw our item down into that hopper, and that will open up our piston doors using just those water streams. Now throwing the item is actually a little bit tricky, especially because items float underwater, so you kind of have to throw it straight down and then hope that it gets picked up, but there it is. It functions, and obviously, you know, you'd have to do some work with pulse extenders and things like that. But our item kind of gradually makes its way towards the hopper, and then just those water streams there will open up our piston doors, which makes this a really interesting way of creating an entrance for something like an underwater bunker. I mean, imagine that. It's just kind of like a redstone-less system floating up there. It's all being controlled by these magma blocks. You could even do it like on land or something. It's just, It's just cool, I like it a lot. So there we go, I think that just about wraps everything up. Thank you ever so much to everyone who sent me this on Twitter. It really is much appreciated. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please press that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.